Welcome to another episode of Cafecito with Mr. Miami Real Estate. We are here today with Julian Manes, top producer for Goosehead, and he's actually one of the top 10 Florida insurance agents out there right now. So today we're going to be talking about home insurance for buyers.
Yep.
So one of the most popular questions, and let's get right into it, is it mandatory to have insurance?
Yes. When you're purchasing a property and you're going through a lender, they do require you to have insurance on the property. Usually lenders or loan officers or realtors reach out to me to go ahead and get the ball rolling on getting insurance quotes. They just need inspections, like for example the 4-point and the wind mitigation. Those are really important when it comes to the process of actually quoting it. And then once I provide the quotes, then the client can go ahead and decide, and then I can explain all the coverages, things like that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And do you need to pay deductibles out of pocket?
Deductibles, it depends. So some insurance companies have what's called a preferred contractor, meaning that you do have to pay the deductible out of pocket, kind of like auto insurance. And then the insurance company, whatever the amount of the claim is, they go ahead and send out their own people to fix out the repairs. Other companies have, you can use your own contractor. So basically what they do is you don't pay any deductible out of pocket, but at the time when they pay out the claim, then they go ahead and just subtract the deductible from the claim payment amount. So for example, let's say you have to fix a $50,000 roof and your deductible is $5,000, you get paid out $45,000 to go ahead and fix that roof.
Got it.
Yeah.
Perfect. And man, I'm sorry to kind of just put you out there on the spot, but man,
good,
especially in South Florida, why is insurance so high?
And that's a great question. I get that question probably 10 times a day. But and insurance here in Florida, especially in the Tri-County, Miami-Dade, Broward, and West Palm, insurance rates have just been increasing ever since Hurricane Irma in 2017. That's been a real big factor. And insurance companies, because of their reinsurance, meaning that insurance companies actually have to get insurance to go ahead and pay out the claims when people have claims,
Right.
And that costs them money. So when their insurance goes up, then insurance rates for them goes up as well.
Right.
So basically, it gets more expensive for them to pay out the claims. So because of that, they don't want to do business here because unfortunately here in Florida, everybody, this is the highest claim, frequency or amount.
Right.
In like pretty much the whole country.
So basically way too many people down here are making claims.
Yep. Every day.
That's crazy.
And insurance companies are trying to figure out, which ones are, really worth to pay out and which ones, that they feel like the client can take over.
Right.
And because of that, insurance rates are just going up.
Got it.
Every year.
So now I have you guys, the audience best interest in mind.
Mm-hmm.
This is the $1 million question.
Yep.
How can you get the best rate?
You can get the best rate by definitely getting the inspections done. So the biggest way to get your rate down is to get what's called a wind mitigation inspection. And that's pretty much always done when you're purchasing a home. And that basically, the inspector goes inside the roof, checks out the roof. He basically determines or finds the permit when it was last replaced. If here in Miami-Dade, if it was replaced after 1994, you get a credit for that. In Broward and up, it's after 2001. So if you replace your roof after 2001, you get a credit. Also, if you have impact windows or shutters, that's the biggest credit that you can get. Basically brings down the premium by 30%. So, but that means that every door, every exterior door and every window, even the garage door, has to be impact rated, or it has to have a label showing that it's hurricane proof.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a question once you're already under contract, you're going forward. So why is the dwelling coverage lower than what people are buying the property
That's
for?
a great question. And especially if you're a first-time home buyer, that's pretty much the number one question I always get. Basically, when it comes to you're purchasing a property, you're purchasing the structure plus the land. When it comes to insurance companies only cover the structure just because, God forbid, there's a hurricane, wipes away your whole property, the land is still going to be there.
Right.
So they just have to worry about rebuilding the structure from the ground up. So that's why the dwelling coverage you're always going to see is always going to be less than what you purchased the property for.
Perfect. Now, what is, in a typical homeowner's policy, what coverage is it that's included in there?
Yeah, so, when you're going through a lender, they require you to have hurricane coverage, and they require you to have fire coverage, and they require you to have wind coverage.
Okay.
So that's always included in your typical, traditional homeowner's policy.
Perfect.
Here in Florida, especially in the Tri-County, because the Tri-County is way different than everybody else up north. So in the Tri-County, insurance companies are actually either excluding plumbing coverage. So if any pipes burst in your home, if you don't see that it's covered under your policy, unfortunately, you're out of luck and you're going to have to pay for those repairs out of pocket. Right. To actually get coverage for your plumbing now is extremely expensive. You're looking around over $4,000 in annual premium, guaranteed. And, it's either they're excluding it, they're limiting it where they only provide you $10,000, which, if you come to your home and it's flooded, it's definitely going to be over $10,000 right. in repairs. And obviously if you have that full coverage and you're covered up to the dwelling amount. But again, it's a really expensive policy, but you get what you pay for. Right. People want the cheapest thing out there. You're gonna get some pretty basic coverages, but if you want some really good coverage for your home, which I do recommend, especially if you're first time buying a home, right. It is gonna be a little bit more expensive.
Got it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about something that's very popular, especially in South Florida.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just passing hurricane season now. What about flood coverage? Is that a separate policy? How does that work?
Yeah, flood coverage is a separate policy. A lot of people always ask me, does my homeowners cover flood? It doesn't. Flood is actually all ran through FEMA, and it's rated through FEMA. So I can pretty much quote you with any company that offers flood, and it's always going to be the same exact premium. Okay. And in order to get a flood insurance quote, you actually need what's called an elevation certificate. Okay. And when you're purchasing a home, that's usually done through the title agent. They usually go ahead and schedule that. They schedule for the surveyor to go out, and once your agent gets that certificate, they can go ahead and quote it. And premium generally ranges from around $300 to $1,000 annually. So it's not as much as homeowners insurance, but it is a separate policy, and it just covers rising water. If there's heavy rainfall or there's a hurricane causes a flood, if you have flood coverage, you are going to be covered.
Perfect. So you actually answered you went ahead there. That's perfect. So 300 to 1,000 is what you said on the annual coverage.
Correct.
Perfect. And then now, just since we mentioned the plumbing before, the flood coverage, does that cover plumbing? No,
it does not cover plumbing. Again, flood coverage only covers rising water. Plumbing is only covered through your homeowner's policy. And I always recommend people, if you have your current insurance policy, to make sure and check that you do have plumbing coverage, because it's a really big, it's a nice coverage to have. Pipe bursts all the time here in Florida because of the heat, and you can just walk into your house one day, your house can be flooded, and if you don't have plumbing coverage, then that's going to be money out of your pocket.
Absolutely, you gotta take care of that.
Yeah.
Perfect. So that's everything that we have today. Yeah. If you have any questions, be sure to drop them in the comment section below, and here myself will be going in and answering them. Be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for the next one.
Thank you, guys.